To come back in on Saturday to really hit the ground running in that victory over Salford. How good did that feel?
Yeah, really good. It's been a pretty tough year up to date. I haven't had a sort of consistent running. But I mean, to be back after obviously I broke my hand, it was a really nice feeling to get back out there.
I was going to say you're out with that broken hand after playing such a pivotal role in that impressive win over Huddersfield. How hard was that mentally as a setback to deal with?
Yeah, pretty tough. To be fair, my career up to date has been I've had to go through stuff like this before, so it's just about making sure you're doing everything you can to get back as soon as possible. And obviously with Jordan going down against Catalan, sort of knew that even though I'd only had my cast off my hand a couple of days, I knew that I sort of needed to get myself right for the game Saturday.
As you say, it's happened a few times during your career so far. What kind of techniques, I suppose, have you developed? What kind of adversity have you developed to get you through those tough periods?
I think it's just about being, mentally strong and backing yourself and trusting the people around. We've got a really good medical team here, Dan and Jimmy and stuff. They've done a good job with me, and sort of put the trust in them that I'll be good to go. And yeah, I was.
I know Willie Peters was saying last week before the game that once you get a block of games together, you'll feel confident about running the team. Where do you feel you're at with with your game now after Saturday?
Yeah, I feel good. That's my job really. Whether it's me or whoever else plays that role in the team, I sort of see it as like I sort of pull the strings, so to speak, and that's my job. So I've obviously, since Willie came in, he sort of put it on me that was going to be my role when I was playing. And yeah, I feel like I did a pretty good job and getting a good understanding of it, and sort of where I slot into the team. And so it's just about putting us in the right positions and getting our strike plays in the right positions to cause some damage.
How far away do you think you are from maybe being fully 100% in the groove?
In the groove, I don't know. I'll be honest. I didn't feel 100%. Coming into the week, but it didn't take long. We worked hard in pre-season. We did all the sort of tough yards, and we got a really good connection here as a group and stuff. So, I feel good.
Willie Peters also spoke last week before the game about how much you've grown as a player and a person since he's come in. How much do you think he's played a part in that development?
Yeah, a lot, to be fair. This pre-season was, I think I've said it before, it's probably the toughest pre-season I've ever done, physically and mentally. I remember when he first came in, we had a chat about how every team, in the world, in any sport, they'll train, from the eyes and down, but you also got to train your mind. And I've probably not sort of had that mindset until this year. And it's sort of building, like your resilience, your self-confidence, stuff like that, which I think for me personally has come on leaps and bounds this year. And that obviously makes it easy when you get adversity, whether, you're injured, you've not been selected, this and that. I think that sort of my mindset's come on a lot this year.
And looking ahead now, you could play a really pivotal role in the second half of the season, Super League, Challenge Cup, semi-finals. How excited are you by the prospect of the influence you could have come the end of the campaign?
Yeah, buzzing. That's, obviously before I did my hand, I was sort of waiting in the wings, and it's frustrating at times when you want to be able to, go out on the field in front of the fans and show what you're made of and show what you can do. But obviously, I'm gutted for Jordan. You don't want to see any of your mates get injured, especially not like long-term ones. But I suppose for me, it gives me an opportunity now to, fingers crossed, get a good run of games and build some consistency and find some form.
How are you feeling about facing Wigan in the Challenge Cup semi-finals after the draw was made?
Yeah, good. Don't get much bigger than that, do they? We obviously had that upset last year, and I was part of that team, and we didn't, put on the performance we would have wanted to be able to, this year get another crack at it. Hopefully we can obviously do them over at Headingley and then get to the final and win it. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
It would. I know Willie's going to watch that semi-final back from last year, and he'll go through it with you as players. I presume you don't want to watch it too much at all, no?
Yeah, I had to watch it after we played, so I don't really have to go back and watch it again.
What do you think you'll need to do differently nearer the time?
Good question. I don't know. To be honest, like for me especially, I don't think I've ever played in a game as probably big and important as that. And I suppose the only way you can look at it is sort of that it was a good learning curve. And yeah, I can't wait to get the opportunity, hopefully, to go back to Headingley and have another crack at it.
Now, as you say, that you've got that experience, though, not just for a one-off important match, but for this next month, 4 big games that could define the season, how vital would it be?
Yeah, big games. Sort of looking at it as a bit of a reset. We obviously Jordan was injured, I was injured. We've had a few injuries here and there, and team selection's been sort of chop and change. Fingers crossed we're over at the back end of that now, and we can build some consistency. And these 4 games before that semi-final, just as big as any. We'll just take one at a time, starting with Wakefield on Friday.
In Wakefield first, you were on a 2-week loan there earlier in the season. What was it like being there when they were going through that winless run, which they've recently ended?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for them, but for me, I sort of tried to put a spin on it, and I had a few good conversations with Willie. Obviously, when that was in the pipeline for me to get a bit of game time, and yeah, I sort of went trying to make a difference. We obviously played Wigan away, and we didn't get the result, but I think I was speaking to the coaches there afterwards and stuff. It was sort of a big improvement to where they'd been before. So I sort of went there just trying to make a positive impact. That's sort of the spin I took on it.
What did you end up taking away from that 2-week loan then?
Well, it only ended up 1 week, didn't it, because of the international break. But I think, for me, it was a good opportunity to get some game time, and I just tried to take a positive spin on it. And playing in SuperLeague, that's all I've wanted to do since I was a kid. So any opportunity to get to play in SuperLeague, I was going to take, and just made sure I give 100%.
And obviously, you started your career there at scholarship level. How much did the club and the atmosphere around it, I suppose, differ?
Yeah, there was a few, obviously, different staff. I spoke to Mark, actually, when I got there, because I think he got appointed the academy head coach the year after I'd left, and then obviously moved to Bradford. Again, I had some adversity. I broke my collarbone in my shoulder, so they didn't offer me a contract, and ended up at Bradford, and obviously kicked on from there. But yeah, I can't really, the facilities and stuff, they were all pretty much the same, but the staff were different.
Given you around when the players were going through that losing run, what kind of place do you think they'll be in now, having picked up finally that first win against Leeds?
Yeah, they'll obviously be confident, won't they? Just come off a week off as well, so we're going to have to be ready to meet them, head to head on Friday night. But yeah, I mean, I know like the results haven't been going well, but we've still got some quality players, and obviously getting the chance to train with them for 2 weeks was, I could see that. They've got some quality players, and players they've had huge careers, whether that be in SuperLeague or the NRL. So we won't be taking them lightly.
And I know the sort of atmosphere around this game from a Rovers point of view will be that you have to win this one. But the fact that they have finally picked up that victory, how much will that help you avoid complacency going into this game?
Yeah, we should be avoiding that anyway. You don't get any easy games in Super League. So, I mean, this is just as big as any of the others. We need to take it 1 week at a time and not get too far ahead of ourselves. And it starts this Friday, regardless of who it's against. We can't be complacent against anyone.
Cheers, Rowan. Thanks for your time.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Hi, Rowan. I'm Steve. How are you?
Hi, mate. You okay?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, I just want to pick up on what you said about training your mind and how Willie encouraged everyone to do. How do you do that? Is that done individually or is it done as a group?
We did a bit of both in pre-season. That's where it sort of started. So I think, for me personally, I'd not really thought like that before. Just sort of, I suppose, working by yourself, whether it's breathing techniques, just sort of generally working on your mind and, making sure that you value yourself and looking at, I suppose, people in sport can always end up looking at the negatives of what you've done and this and that, but trying to take a spin on it and, backing your own ability and backing yourself, really. That's what I've tried to work on.
And is that something that came from Willie and the coaching staff, or was it just a general theme that you had to work out the details yourself,
Yeah, I think it probably started with a conversation with like the coaching staff at the start of the year, but at the end of the day, it was down to me there's only me that can change my mindset, and really they can try out me as much as they can, but it's down to me. So did a lot of work physically, obviously in pre-season, but mentally as well, and I feel in a much better place for it.
And mate, I'll leave this alone in a minute, but is it more like confidence, or is it more like composure, or is it, you said resilience? Like, I mean, so you've had a lot of injuries. So is it kind of help you deal with those setbacks? And what's the kind of routine, like what's the routine that you go through? Like if someone asked you what you actually do and how you've changed, how would you kind of explain it to someone,
Yeah, well, I did a lot of work with like breathing techniques and stuff, and then working on like my positive affirmations and stuff like that, because I sort of had a theme at the start of the year that this was the hardest pre-season I've done to date, and I feel so much better for it. And if you train at such an intensity, then in games when you're blowing or you're struggling in a game, in your head you're still backing yourself and knowing that you've done the hard yards in pre-season and that you'll get through it, and being confident that you will.
So is this something? Do you see this, like you've had a few coaches, you're still only young, but is this something different about Willie, that he's kind of the mental side of rugby league that he kind of focuses on a bit more?
Yeah, you could say that. It's probably just a conversation at the start of the year. I remember we'd just been in his office one morning, and we spoke about it, and just wanted to make sure that I was, as much physically ready, but mentally ready as well. I feel much better for it.
And does your hand still hurt, or whichever one it is? Does your hand still? Does it still hurt, or is it, or not?
I've got a few. Obviously, my ligaments, they're just stiff more than anything. Obviously, I was in a cast for 5.5 weeks, and they had to make sure that the knuckles were all, lengthened, so my ligaments wouldn't be trapped or anything. So, the ligaments are pretty stiff, but it felt really good.
That's all from me, mate. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Cheers, mate. You too.
Hi, Rowan. It's Gary. All right?
Hi, mate. You okay?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Just one picking up on what Steve was on about there. I mean, on the mental side of it, as a youngish lad, some of the stuff that you'll be hearing about, you'd have maybe thought, well, that's just nonsense. But now you're actually doing it, you sort of understand why people say do it.
You could say that, yeah. I mean, it's just something that I never really thought I needed to work on, or you get caught up in the physical side, obviously, because especially in pre-season, it's so physically draining, and you're putting your body through so much work every single day. You're so focused on that, but yeah, I mean, in coming into the pre-season, it wasn't even a thought of mine. But I mean, working on it especially this pre-season, I can see now, like, obviously the benefit of it and how much it's helped me. And like coming off 6 weeks in a cast, not being able to, train like upper body on this side for so long, but coming back for a week in training, just being mentally strong that I'll be fine and get through it. And obviously, I was happy with my performance, so it's obviously worked.
Now, this may actually sound a bit sort of self-helping. It might actually give a few tips to me. How do you breathe yourself better? You've talked a lot about breathing techniques, but how do you do that to sort of make yourself better?
We do it with one of the coaches, so you have to ask him. You have to get him on here. Yeah, we do. It's sort of down to him, really. Obviously, there's stuff on YouTube, stuff I don't really know, but we did a lot of work on that in pre-season. That's helped me as well. So you have to get him on here next week.
Yeah. And just you talked before about having quite a bit of adversity in your career so far. Does that adversity go all the way back to when you were at West Bowling, maybe, as a kid?
Yeah, probably. I was never like the biggest kid or all like that. So obviously, all my way through, really, I've had injuries and setbacks. And then obviously I was at Wakefield on the scholarship, and then they didn't want to keep me on. And I know it's so tough as a young kid when you obviously from being a young lad, from being about 8 years old, I wanted to be a rugby player. I know how tough it is when professional clubs will turn around and say, "Oh, we're gonna have to release you, this and that." It's just sticking at it, really, innit? And I've had to deal with adversity all through my career, and so getting injured, yeah, obviously really frustrating. And I'd obviously waited in the wings for my opportunity. Finally had a chance to put a few games together, and did this in the first game. So I was obviously gutted and frustrated, but you've got to get on with it, haven't you? You can't go back and change any of it. So just got to crack on.
You might make me sound a bit old here. You said since you were 8-year-old you wanted to be a rugby player. Who was it that you sort of followed, and basically who was your boyhood hero? Which is probably going to make me seem about 75 years old now.
Yeah, I don't know what to say now.
Say anyone.
See, I'm a Bradford lad, so
yeah,
used to go down there every week and watch Odsal and watch Mags get battered at Odsal by the Bulls. So I don't know. Leon Price, probably. Paul Deakin. There's a few. I always wanted to be an halfback. So yeah, probably them two, to be fair.
Were you always a halfback in the junior days? Have you always been a halfback all the way through?
Yeah, all the way through. Yeah, pretty weird. I've never really played any other position other than halfback. Even when I was like 8, 9, 10, I always sort of just ended up being that like sort of organizer type of player.
And just sort of again, this could sort of refer to adversity, but in a different way. How difficult was it being at Bradford, your home city club, but a club that has its fair share of traumas, hasn't it?
Yeah, ours, unfortunately, and that's down to no fault of the coaching staff that I had or the players or anything like that. To be fair, like as far as like the players and the coaching staff and stuff go, I don't have a bad word to say. I loved my time there. And obviously it didn't end the way I would have liked or stuff, but I mean, it's brought me here on it and I've enjoyed it so far, so I can't really complain.
Do you sort of look back where you are now and you sort of look back on what you've had to put up with and what you've experienced and think that sort of helped me now, what I went through back then?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it can only stand you in good stead, can't it? And I feel like a much tougher and resilient person for it. And in life, you never get just a plain sailing, easy life. I don't think anyone lives in a perfect world, do they? So everyone has their ups and downs, and you've just got to make sure you're ready to ride both.
And just one last one for me. How often do the old Leeds Bradford games get mentioned between you and Danny Maguire?
Oh, there's a few, especially Matt Parcell as well. When we, because a few of us boys played in that one where we did them in the cup. Yeah, that one gets brought up every now and again.
Cheers, Rowan. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Hi, Rowan. It's Martin Sadler here from League Express.
Hi, mate. Okay.
Fine. Congratulations on your performance at the weekend. I thought you were outstanding. And when you come back into a game like that, when you've been out for a while, how nervous did you feel? And, how did you feel at the end of the game when you'd played a great role in helping your team win the game?
Yeah, I won't say nervous, to be fair. I was probably more excited than anything else, you know, being sat on the sidelines and, you know, I was like in my head watching, hoping that like, I was just thinking, oh, I wish I was out there to make a difference and this and that. And I was just really excited to go and show what I could do and what I've been working on. And yeah, it was just a really good feeling. Obviously, final whistle goes, we're through to the semi-final, and you hear that East Ham rocking. There's not many more other places I'd rather be.
Absolutely, and it wasn't bad either that you were playing against, in the same position in their side, the guy who was the man of steel last year, Brodie Croft. You know that. You know, I thought you outshone him really, and that's a great feather in your cap, I'd say.
Yeah, he's a class player, though, isn't he?
He is, but you are as well, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, do you ever think about where your career would be now if you'd not had all these injuries, you know, during your professional career?
Maybe. You can't really think like that, though, can you? It's all in hindsight and stuff. So, but I mean, as far as, you know, Brodie Croft and Snead go, they're two players that, you know, probably world class, and they do it week in, week out, and that's where I want to strive in my career to get to. You know, it's all right playing well or picking up a man of the match in one game, but you've got to strive to be good every week. And you know, that's where I want to kick on now and find some form and get some consistency in my game.
When you were at Wakefield for that one game earlier this year on St George's Day, I think it was, you played at Wigan, April the 23rd. Were you there long enough to be able to get any insight into some of the strengths and weaknesses of their particular players, or was it just not quite long enough to be able to achieve that?
Probably not long enough, to be fair. I was trying to probably just more focusing on my own game and making sure that, you know, I was going to be giving 100% to Wakefield while I was there. But yeah, I mean, I know results haven't been going their way up until obviously they picked up a good win last week, but we can't be complacent because, like I said earlier, they've got some quality players, and you know, if we can't be complacent, because if we are, I'm sure they'll be ready to turn us over.
Absolutely, and you're confident you won't go into this game with any sense of complacency, given where they are in the league.
No, definitely not. You can't afford to. You know, at SuperLeague level, there's no easy game, so we've got to be ready to, you know, meet them head on. And yeah, I mean, every game's as hard as the one before, isn't it?